Welcome everyone to episode 1 of the Caster Curse podcast. My name is RoseBND, and of course, as always, I'm joined by the lovely ThomSonic. Thomas, episode 1, we're finally in!
Weeks, months, years went over this, but we finally made it happen. I'm very happy to have a podcast of our own, which is very nice. So yeah, me and British Rose, as I can hear already, I'm happy.
Yeah, it's been a long time coming, really. I've been wanting to do this for so long, and I think this is the perfect time now with both of us working at McDonald's, the fictional one that is. We're not actually flipping burgers, but yeah, so... Of course, for a lot of people who know us from the Benelux scene, you know what we've done. We've casted Elite Series before. We've been on some Dutch LEC broadcasts, some Dutch EU Masters broadcasts. Fortunately, this split, you will not see us anymore, but you can still see us on this screen at the Caster Curse, because the Caster Curse podcast basically entails ThomSonic and I just talking about whatever happens in esports. Whether it's overseas, in LCK, in LCS, whether it's in our own region, in the Benelux, we will talk about it, we'll share our opinions, and hopefully let you guys enjoy it a little bit, because of course that also includes drama. Thomas, are you looking forward to talking about some spicy things that have been happening already this week?
I mean, I like to talk about esports in general and about all the cool plays that are happening, but drama is just so fun, man. We cannot deny it. It's the most fun thing about esports, and there's a lot of drama every year, every season. Mm-hmm. So, of course, last year we had the G2 shenanigans there with Carlos. This year we have the downscaling and non-accredited ERL, so it's never boring. And let's talk about it.
Yeah, I think we ended the year on a very high note with all the end of trade drama going on, and
depending on how you look at it, it's a
high
note,
of course, it's subjective. Anyways, also when we look at esports, you already mentioned a little bit. There's been a lot of drama going on, and we will definitely get there. So first off, I want to basically cut to the chase, because a lot of people who see us here, they'll probably expect us to talk about Elite Series. And I'm going to warn you guys, this is not a podcast that completely revolves around the Elite Series. Of course, we will talk about it, and when stuff happens, we'll definitely, show off what we think about it, but it's not all resolved around the Elite Series. That said, let's talk about the Elite Series, because 2023 season is about to start, Thomas, and can I ask you for your first thoughts now that you, see rosters, see teams, so what are you thinking?
I'm thinking this season is going to be very interesting for all the wrong reasons. I feel like we had a little bit of a downgrade in the teams itself, in the overall level of the rosters. Of course, the good side on that is that we have a lot of Benelux players, which is very nice. I'm happy to see that. But of course, we got hit as well this off-season. Elite Series has been struggling a bit. People are being laid off. There's less money in the scene. So a lot of the rosters are looking weaker than before. But I do have to say, the top 3 is still relatively the same, I would say, as last split and the split before that. So in that case, it's fine, but I'm not sure how well we can compete right now. I just have to put all my faith in Genk and the agency and 7am and hope it comes to fruition at European Masters, but I'm not so sure about it anymore.
Yeah, I think you already spoiled it quite a bit for people who have not been catching up with the rosters. Last summer split, it was a very big surprise that 7am was performing the way they did. I think this split is kind of expected if we see their roster. We'll get there later on. We'll talk about all the rosters, don't worry. But I do kind of agree with you. I think if you compare the level that we see on paper right now compared to last summer, it's definitely deteriorated, which is kind of sad, to be honest, because I definitely felt like in 2021 or 2022, I should say, it's already 2023. Jesus Christ, the time is going so fast. Anyways, in 2022, I think we definitely made very good steps as a region. I mean, especially if you look at our EU Masters performances as well, they were significantly better than the year before. But looking at the teams right now, especially the teams that are coming in to replace some of the teams that are dropping out, I'm starting to get a little bit worried, man.
Yeah, me too. But on the other hand, it's always nice to see newcomers into the scene. So in that case, it is nice. But I'm not entirely sure how they will manage up. What is fun is last year, of course, we had the promotion relegation split, if you remember. We casted both of it. Both of ourselves casted that as well. And 2 of the teams that played in that actually promoted, which I really like, because it really gives an incentive of Div 1, Div 2, you really got to battle your way through. Perhaps you get a chance to promote. And we actually have 2 teams that did it that way. So that is a positive note on all of the shenanigans that's going on.
Yeah. I mean, we do have to mention, technically, ZenIT did not promote. They only promoted because KVM. I think they replaced KVM. I think it was KVM. Okay. Might have been someone else, but I think they do definitely. I mean, I think they do definitely deserve it, right? If we focus a little bit on ZenIT as an organization, I think they're one of the better French organizations that we have in the Benelux, because they have always shown to put in effort. You know, they even with the little things, even if it's just making team pictures or making some content on social media, you don't see a lot of these Div 2 teams do that. Maybe now a bit more than before, but Zen IT has been a pretty well-known name in the lower divisions for quite a while. So I really like seeing them in Div 1, to be honest.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point that you make with the team pictures and etc. The pushing on social media. I have the feeling, and this is very weird for me to say, we have downscaled in Div 1 with all the teams that are going on right now, the rosters and the money, of course. But I feel like we upgraded in Div 2. Because I see a lot of organizations that are doing very well there, right? Alma getting a good roster, pushing a lot of content out there. Myth doing LAN events, doing great themselves as well. It's really weird to say that Div 2 is going up and Div 1 feels like it's going down.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard some people say also that like the level of play between Div 2 and Div 1 is just getting closer towards each other. I'm not entirely sure if I agree with that, but especially the teams that you just mentioned, Myth and Aoma are definitely showing that they're here to play. And I mean, if you look at that Aoma roster, ThomSonic, I don't know if you've seen it, but that is a stacked roster. Not only in terms of players, they've got Famir on the coaching stuff. They've got Crymo on support, is what I saw on Twitter, but I heard today already that they're still looking for another support. So maybe Crymo's only like chilling in place there, waiting to maybe get replaced again. But it was such a weird roster to see in Div 2, because if you look at the names, they're all pretty well known in the Benelux scene.
Yeah, Gabush as well. Same for Bewis, who has been playing a lot of the competition in the past 2 years already. So yeah, it looks like a strong roster. And like you said, Kramel maybe just chilling in a retirement home. He was like, man, I'll just fill it up. Give me a small paycheck. I'm fine with it. Perhaps, but I'm happy that we see him back on the Rifts, because like I said last season as well, he was my favorite player. I wasn't really allowed to say that, but now I am, which is very nice.
Yeah, I mean, who doesn't like Crymo, right? And also, I think it was Dino, but I'm not sure who commented it on Twitter, but I completely agree. Can't wait for the 20-minute 250 CS Brown one-tapping the enemy AD carry. That was a brilliant tweet. I forgot who sent it, but that was brilliant. I really liked that. And I really wish we could see a bit more of Crymo, because, I mean, especially for me personally, of course, coming a bit later into the scene, like 2 years ago, I basically missed peak Crymo at PSV, and I'm still angry about that, because that was apparently really, really exciting to watch.
Yeah, that was, of course, before you and I were entering the scene. We joined the split after, I think it was, or maybe even a year after. So. Damn. Yeah, time goes fast. Like you said it yourself as well, because we're already almost in February. Like, the whole of January is almost gone already, and I have the feeling this is the first month of 2023. What the hell is going on?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I'm definitely with you. Let's talk a little bit about the orgs that we're going to have to say goodbye to, especially in the Elite Series, because there are 4 orgs that have left for numerous of reasons. We've got Iron Squad, Lowland Lions, I think everyone knows that one, as well as KVM Esports and Sector 1 that are all going to be leaving the Elite Series. I think we're going to just start from top to bottom. I think Iron Squad, let's be real, I think most of the people most of the scene is going to be happy that they're gone, especially hearing what they were doing behind the scenes as well. It was kind of a shit show, not gonna lie.
I mean, nobody wants to say it, but everybody thinks it. So we are here to say it right now. A lot of people are happy is maybe the wrong word. Okay, not sad that they are gone. Of course, with the classic Shutterstock memes every match day, and some things behind the scenes that were not going that great. And even when they were eliminated in the promo relegation, the only thing they tweeted was goodbye. And they just disappeared.
Yes,
so it's like, do they care themselves a lot? No, I feel like they want it out as well. So in the end, that's just a deal that is fine, I guess. It still sucks a bit to go out on that note, but hey, we had some funny memes the last year.
For sure, and I think they definitely gave us like some memories, right? I think personally, for me, I always had a bit of a weak spot for Fliff. I had like a call with him during Sprint Split. He was a really fun guy, honestly, and I was really sad, of course, to see at least him go out of our scene, because, I mean, no Iron Squad probably means no Fliff in the bot lane, and if we look at the rosters, that's also true. But think about the roster that they put up in Spring Split Elite Series with Velia in the jungle. That was also just really fun to watch. Maybe sad that the name Iron Squad gets slapped on there, because it could have been way cooler if they actually had a team that, you know, cared a bit more about its players, content-wise, stuff like that. But Iron Squad, maybe not all bad, but probably for the better that they're leaving.
Probably for the better, and like you said, Velja, that's the interesting part. I feel like Velja was one of the best, if not the best player of the entire Spring Split. So it has produced some fun players in that case. But yeah, like you said, it's gone, it's done, it's dusted. Which, of course, are also 3 other organizations that are gone and dusted. And the next one, that was Lowland Lions, I kind of feel very bad about that one, because I feel like that was one of the longest sitting organizations. One of the teams that actually got a lot of prizes as well, that did well internationally, and they're just gone. They're out of there.
Yeah, maybe under their name of the Diffuse Kids, they also just won a lot. And I mean, Lowland Lions is one of the most successful organizations we've had. Unfortunately, could not keep their heads above the water, which is kind of unfortunate. I think at least it's good that, compared to maybe some other organizations that we'll get to later, they do not, go out with a lot of drama. It's just unfortunately not a wise decision anymore for them to invest in esports, which I perfectly understand, because they're not the only ones doing this, and I feel like they're also not the last ones that are going to do this.
Yeah, unfortunately. But what I do like is you have Philip Langerock, if I am not mistaken, if I pronounced it correctly, which was basically the CEO of Lowland Lions, and he's putting some very interesting tweets and takes out there, like, oh, this is not the last organization that's going to disappear. Oh, everything is not going well. And I'm like, okay, this is the juice factor. This is the guy. I have my notifications.
This man
on.
Knows something.
Yes.
he's got some sauce. He's cooking.
Knows Let him cook. Let him cook, man. I want to see what's going on. By the way, very random. But do you know where Let Him Cook even comes from, that meme?
No clue. I only know that I really like it.
It's apparently like a rap song of Lil B of like 5 years ago, maybe even longer than that, and it's one of the worst songs I've ever listened to.
Of course it is.
But it got taken out of context with the Let Him Cook, and it's now become a major meme because someone found it back again. It's great. Please listen to it once in your free time. You will regret it, but you will love it at the same time.
Wait, what is the name again?
Lil B.
Lil B. Let him cook.
Oh boy. I mean, it's probably copyrighted, so don't show
it. I'm definitely not gonna do it now, but for the sake of my ears and probably our audience's ears. Anyways, let's pull it back a little bit before we start cooking a bit too much here. Let's talk about KVM, because KVM, to me, was a very nice org to watch. Unfortunately, I mean, they did not really perform that well in the Elite Series as they could in like Dutch League, Belgian League, which was unfortunate, but still, I mean, KVM was a very well-respected org back then. I think right now also, it's just a bit unexpected for me to see them go, not gonna lie.
I mean, it was very late, not that late. I think it was in the middle of the off-season that they decided to pull out and go away. And it's also the departure of Sliver and Bardo together on that KVM roster. It feels like that was just a constant factor, Nothing is ever going to change with KVM. They will just always play. Will end 5th, 4th. Maybe if they have a good season, they will go higher and higher. Sliver and Bardo are there together to carry the team, and that's just disappeared as well. And that's one of the reasons why I'm sad about it, but on the other hand, they were like, hey, you know what? This isn't making us any profit. It isn't beneficial to stay here. Even if we are backed by a football club, KV Mechelen, of course, we're just going to pull out. And I respect them for it. It's an honest decision to make. And you give a chance to other organizations to invest, take something over, and actually try something instead of just memeing around there, hey, we get a cheap roster. We're just going to end 7-8, but we're here. Nobody wants that.
No, nobody wants orgs that are like, doing the bare minimum to just be there. And then in that case, I really rather see a Zen IT or, a Heat Gaming that's also, making their rise. So KVM, I'm going to miss them personally, not going to lie. Just like you said, I'm also going to miss the Sliver Bardo combination because, I mean, who doesn't? Fortunately, we'll see both of them back in the Elite Series, but on different teams this time. So, I mean,
and different
storylines. Yeah, different names as well. Storylines also creating themselves a little bit right there. That's kind of fun. Let's talk about the last one, and I think it's probably the most how can I say this, exciting one to talk about. It is Sector 1 leaving the Benelux scene completely. Whether it's League of Legends, whether it's Valorant that they were performing so well in, they are gone, and they are gone for a reason, Thomas.
They are gone for a very interesting and bad reason, and I want to start with the timeline, okay? Sector 1 decided to leave. They were like, hey, we cannot invest anymore. We don't have the money to do it. We're going to pull out. Thank you for all the memories. Thanks for being fans. Everybody was like, oh, we're going to miss you so much. One of the longest standing organizations in the Benelux. It's so good. Everybody was crying. Everybody was quote tweeting. But some people, including me, knew something that was going on in the background. So some people did not react, did not tweet. One day later, an article gets published saying Sector 1 is owing $12,000 to their past players or staff. And then the shit show began, Rose.
And I think this article was also by if I believe
Dexerto.
Dexerto, yeah, which is like
Yeah.
a really, really respectable source as well. So, and also a really big one at that. So I was like, oh my god, we're making the news, but not on in the way that we want to. Sector 1 have completely fucked up. Not gonna lie, let's just put it like that. They did some people dirty, and that's not okay. I think that's never to be accepted. Of course, there's also always things going on within a company that I don't know about, that we just don't know about. So I can't say this with like, you know, full knowledge of what is actually going on. But if you read the facts and if you read the stories that have come out, people have just been done dirty, and it's really sad for an org like Sector 1 to go out this way, especially if you compare it to Lowland Lions, the team that, you know, stepped out of the scene respectfully. Compared to Sector 1, it's just a world of difference, not gonna lie.
And I think the major thing that goes to show here, I will just quote a little part of the article. It's not my task to hold their hands. Rapoy said, if I pronounce correctly, I think it's one of the director CEOs. You could say, in theory, the money is owed to them, but on a legal basis, it's not owed to them anymore because they had their expiry date. I think it was even 3 months after the date on the termination agreement was done that they only started to ask the agent to contact us in terms of the prize money. So they're basically like, hey, you deserve your prize money, but you haven't asked us to pay you, and now the date is over, so we're not going to pay you anymore. Legally, I'm not sure if that's 100% the way that is even allowed to, but it's just a scumbag move.
Imagine if I could do that to my landlord. Just not pay for like 4 months and then be like, yeah, I'm sorry, like the payment of 3 months is not coming anymore. It's too late, unfortunately. You didn't ask for it, but yeah, it's all a bit weird, not gonna lie. And of course, there are a lot of players being impacted by this, because we, of course, know the League of Legends roster the best, but they have a Valorant roster. I think they had a Rocket League roster running around as well. It's unfortunate to see, but Sector 1 is gone, and also I feel like they will not be coming back anymore. I think they're rebranding right now for this split to Benelux United, because the players, of course, were signed to Sector 1. They were like, oh my god, yes, we're going to play Elite Series. Awesome. Bam, your org is gone. What are you gonna do now? Like, of course, the org needs to like rebrand, and Benelux United stepped up. We're like, okay, we're gonna take these players under our wings. Honestly, really good initiative to at least give these players still an org to play for, instead of just being 5 random like people in a squad. So that's at least nice from Benelux United.
I mean, it's nice that they get to play, but I'm not sure how that will go money-wise, because I don't think they will get a salary if they don't have a team, right? I mean, I'm not entirely sure on that part. Maybe there's something fixed there. But it really sucks for the players as well. They finally got a team. They can play Div 1. Oh, Sector 1 pulls out like 5 days before the competition starts. We now have to play in a Benelux United team. Okay, we can still play, but how are we ever going to make meets? And I don't know, man. And meet, of course. Like, it feels so scuffed for everyone that is involved. And I hope they can show something. And perhaps, maybe, an organization will pick them up, if that's even allowed by Riot, during the split, and hopefully afterwards after.
Yeah, I personally know not enough about Benelux United to properly say what exactly they are. Like, are they an actual organization, or are they literally just created for this specific situation? I don't know. I don't know if they existed before all of this, but you can't really blame them as well, because of course, like, they have to step in this like last resort situation. So I'm also not expecting them to like suddenly start paying your players. This is literally just a band-aid solution for the gaping hole that Sector 1 left behind. Anyways, I think with Benelux United, we can also transition to the next part that I really wanted to talk about. Arguably the more interesting part, not the orgs that are departing our league, but the orgs that are joining our league, ThomSonic.
100%. And we talked a little bit about Benelux United, of course, that has some interesting players, actually. People that I didn't actually expect to be in that team, but of course, it was previously Sector 1. Players that you know as well, and you love as well, Rose, because I see Praise the Sun there. Yeah, and if I know one thing, is that you love that person.
It's a little bit of a soft spot there, I'm not gonna lie. For the people that don't know, this is a little bit of the RoseBND lore, so strap in and grab yourself some popcorn. I think I started casting back in like March 2021 together with ThomSonic, because he like saw me cast for some random ass tournament and was like, oh my god, awesome, let's cast some open tour. So there I go, casting open tour with ThomSonic for like the first time in my life. It was really fun, not gonna lie. It was like the semifinals of like spring split, whatever. And the team that we were casting was Iron Squad Academy, versus Starland Gaming Club. And I think for the people that know Starland, they already know where I'm going with this. They had a very fun roster with amazing water PTS, the ones that you're also gonna see back in Benelux United right now. They've also always like kept that little bit of a soft spot for me, both because they were my first like legitimate cast, so of course that's always awesome to see, but also when Starland got promoted to the Belgian League, that team was a shit show, but so fun to watch. Picking Zach Samira in a meta where you're only seeing hyper carries. Like, I love that shit, and I love it so much that they just stick to their own style, even though it didn't work at all. So I'm very curious to see how this Benelux United lineup is gonna work. But I think it's just really fun to see those players back into the scene for me personally, because of course I've had a little bit of a soft spot for them.
All they do is team fight, and I love every second of it. They just go 5 minutes. It's actually an ARAM every game. Diana, Yasuo, Zach, Samira, like you said as well. So I hope that they bring that to the table as well. It might not be the best course of action. It might not get you the most wins, but sometimes if you are ahead and keep forcing things like that, you can actually take a lot of upset wins. So perhaps we will see them actually perform this split.
I'll name the roster for everyone who is unaware at this point. We've got Razorback in the top lane, a name that's also been, you know, around the scene for a bit longer. Then we've got a jungler, and I honestly, ThomSonic, I have no clue how to pronounce his name. It is LXWZY. It makes me think of like Lucy, like Lucian that we had last year. Anyways, mid lane is Amazing Water. We all know him. AD carry PTS. Very happy to see him back into the league. And then on support, we have Chokes. Well, if anyone has a Twitter account, you've probably heard of this man, because he's been cooking something up in the offseason for himself, especially, how do I put this? He's very full of himself, which I don't think is necessarily a bad thing, but he sometimes puts it in a way that might be detrimental to his like image.
That is putting it mildly. Yes. He's been very vocal about not finding a team, not getting tryouts, people not wanting him, but he's one of the better ones. He is very high elo, etc., etc. He had a bad reputation, and that's all just talk behind the scenes. He doesn't understand why, etc., etc. But the problem is, even if that's the case, posting all of that on Twitter is not going to make your situation better. And I feel like that's the thing that people need to understand a bit more, like social media awareness. Like, you make your own brand, and if you keep doing things like that, even if you have the best intentions, it works negatively on your brand. And let's be honest, esports, and especially in the Benelux, it's more about having connections and a good brand on your name than sometimes being the best of players, you know.
It really is. It really is. And honestly, I hope Chokes can show us what he can do this split, because I mean, we all know about his previous split. Unfortunately, his team just wasn't the best. Not necessarily his fault, not at all. So I'm looking towards the bot lane, definitely, in Benelux United, specifically PTS, of course, because I mean, praise the fucking sun. And Chokes in the support role, I hope he can prove himself a little bit better than he could before, because I mean, he is a high elo player, and I definitely think he has a skill ceiling that can be, you know, very, very strong if he finds his way around this team. So let's talk about the next team. It's also a new name, of course, coming into the Elite Series. It is Heat Gaming, also a very late addition, I believe, towards our league, because honestly, I also never heard of them before. I had no clue who they were, but they seem like a really respectable organization, and I think they can definitely put in some work with the roster that they have.
Yeah, they definitely, they are just one of the new teams that I think bought their spot in the end, but they are here, and they have a lineup with interesting names, a combination of known people and people with a lot of experience. Lumerion in the top lane, which is one of the most experienced top laners that we have in the Benelux.
The classic.
Then we have Cybernox jungle. This one is interesting. We're going to talk about that a little bit more. Sumi mid, and Sumi is, in my opinion, a very good player, skilled, has a versatile champion pool, played at Flawed last split, if I'm not mistaken, with Verdant. Yep. Excited for him. And then we have the bot lane, Subex and Stokebeer. Stokebeer being Bardo. Yeah. But he renames to Stokebeer. I don't know why, but nice for him. But I want to talk about Cybernox, because Cybernox actually has a history with Heat. I'm pretty certain he played for them before, like a year or two ago, or perhaps even sooner. It doesn't really matter. He has ties with the organization, and I actually know that he was the first person, if I'm not mistaken, that got signed by Heat, and they built the roster after that. I don't want to necessarily say around him, but I feel like he was the first or the second piece that the roster even came up with.
Yeah, Cybernox, looking at his team history, I see New Dynasty in there in 2019, Timeout Academy as well in 2020, so he's definitely been around for quite a while. Jungle player, pretty interesting, likes Hecarim a lot, I see as well, so maybe expect him to be pretty aggressive in a jungle, and I think that's definitely something that this Heat Gaming lineup needs, because if we look at the lineup in general, what are we expecting of a Bardo without a Sliver? Because, of course, we all know Bardo at his peak, roaming around the map, making sure his team gets leads. Can you do that with Subex on the AD carry spot as well, is mostly what I'm wondering.
I'm gonna be honest, Ross. I have no clue who Subex is. I've never seen him play.
Let's check him out.
Yeah, sure. Get him up, because I know that he has been playing for a while, not that long, but he was the last edition of Heat because Riot leaked all the rosters before teams announced it. Yeah. And when we were looking at all the teams, there was no AD carry there. And that was weird because they still didn't find their bot lane player. And what I've heard is that they had a player, but they decided to go to a different team entirely after all. So Heat was like, oh no, we need to find an ADC. What are we going to do? And they ended up with Subex.
Yeah, so Subex has been around at the EBL for 2 years now, playing for Cyberwolves, which is honestly not a really bad spot. He never really won something, which is quite unfortunate. He was 5th and 6th respectively, so not the greatest of finishes, but I mean, I'm excited to see him in action. New names can always mean, new talent, new people to pop off, and I mean, together with Stokebear, I really want to keep calling him Bardo because
it feels so weird to say.
My guy, what is his name change? Like, let's be real, what is Stokebear? I kind of like it, but then again, I really don't. Anyways, together with Stokebear, I'm excited to see what this bot lane can come up with, because, like I said before, Bardo always had his Sliver by his side, and they seemed like a match made in heaven. Now it's Bardo's turn, or Stokebear's turn, Stokebear's turn to, I guess, prove himself as a support that's not really reliant on a Sliver next to you.
But they have banger solo lanes, though. Like, their solo lanes are actually really good.
Yeah, I agree. I'm also just excited that Lemurian has a team, because I really like Lemurian.
I like him too. I feel like he's always a bit he's not overrated, he's always a bit underrated, because everybody says, like, he chokes in playoffs. So... And it sucks so much to say, because there is a little bit of truth in that. Like, he plays a phenomenal season, and when we get to semifinal or final, he gets solo killed, or he's like 20-30 CS behind against Zergold again. And like, yeah, I know Zergold is that good, but it sucks that every split that happens to him. So maybe this split will be different, but this roster is going to be more difficult to achieve that compared to the past splits.
Yeah, so that concludes Heat Gaming for now. I'm excited to see what they can bring to the Elite Series. And then we should go to our third org that is going to join the competition. A bit more of a more known org, especially for me. It's Northern Lions Esports. They've been mostly working around the collegiate scene, especially this year as well. They've taken over DCL. They're doing that right now, but they've also competed in DCL 2 years before. They won some of the Dutch tours very, very, convincingly. And then, of course, they actually promoted by winning promo relegation. So congratulations, Northern Lions. Welcome to the Elite Series. I'm excited to see them play.
They made a couple of changes. Amy Way is gone in the top lane. They have imported a Jaguar from 7am, one of the best players of the last split, which is very good. Cutie Katie in the jungle. We all know Cutie Katie. I love him.
We
all
know Cutie Katie.
It's cutie. It's cutie. Metu, very interesting pickup. I'll let you talk about that in a bit. And then we have Mechanics 2-Trick. I feel like that's a lane that has played together for 3 or 4 years right now. Very solid. I do think 2-Trick is the worst support in the league. So we have to see how much of a
just putting it out there. Like, worst support in the league.
I mean, he will be. It's the truth, man. Like, I like Yebane, I like 2-Trick, but like his name suggests, he only plays like Nautilus, Leona, and Karma, and that's it. It's actually a 3-Trick. I'm not sure how well that will square up against the opposing teams, so that might be a little bit of a meh factor. What do you think of the roster?
I mean, it's a roster that has performed before, right? If we look even at international level, this roster, when they were still playing under the name of Esports Team 20, because let's be real, let's get out the window, is basically Esports Team 20. If you followed anything of the Dutch collegiate scene, you know these guys, and ThomSonic is especially excited for that. But these guys have put down an insane performance in my opinion, and I feel like it gets downplayed a little bit too much, because these guys, if you win the DCL, you're gonna start playing in the University Esports Masters, which is basically compared to like EU Masters but for collegiate teams, and these guys just fucking go there, win it all, play against some of the best teams collegiate wise that we have in Europe. Think about, you know, these German teams, these Polish teams as well, that are so insanely strong and so insanely good. Esports Team Twente, after completely fucking chilling for an entire season, not even caring that much about DCL, I reckon they don't even scrim anymore because they just don't feel like it. They just go there and win the fucking tournament. Like, I feel like these players, and I'm so sad to say this, but if they try more and if they try harder, they could get so fucking good together. But of course I understand if that's not your drive, if that's not your like piece of cake, completely understand that you don't want to like try hard that much, because I mean that's the way I see them, right? They've always had that very laid back style, not really taking the competition that seriously, you know, bleeding out opponents so they can start playing the game longer and start abusing them more. That is the Esports Team Twente way I know, and that's probably the Northern Lions Esports way as well, as it was in the Dutch tour. But this lineup has got an insane ceiling, and I still feel like they are able to compete with some teams in the Elite Series.
I think it's definitely a playoff contender. I actually think they will get into playoffs. And like you said, the sad thing about this, they are so good that they know that they're good. And that goes in a lot of ways wrong. I am not even sure if they're even going to scrim for the Elite Series. Maybe one time a week, and that would be a max. Jaguar is really motivated though, so that might be a changing factor in it. So they might actually try to scrim more too. I hope, I pray. If that's the case, they're going to be good. They're going to get playoffs. If that's not the case, we might see them struggle a little bit, but I still feel like they will get top 4, top 5.
Yeah, and of course, Jaguar joining this roster is a bit to be expected, because if we look at Jaguar's history, he's been with them back when they were called Frill Academy. Do you guys remember Team Frill from the Dutch tour? Yeah, they don't exist anymore, but Frill Academy was like dominating the Open Tour in 2021. I think they won spring and summer.
We did.
Yeah, we did, exactly. Yeah, you were there as well. like this man's Leaguepedia is so stacked, it didn't even do anything. Anyways, Jaguar returning to this roster is of course nice to see. Same for Metu, because Metu was there as well during the Trio Academy days, and Metu was also there during the Pro-Am days, where they actually got 4th as Northern Lions. They only lost towards MCon. So yeah, it's an exciting roster. You asked me to give my thoughts about Metu, and
yes.
I'm not gonna lie, I like watching Metu because he picks the weirdest fucking shit and still makes it work from time to time. But if we look at his like Elite Series past, obviously it's not been that good. He played for KVM. That was the like really disaster 1-13 split where they got like dead last in spring last year. So
yep.
I hope that he's here to like prove people wrong. We've got some more people in the league that, you know, have some things to prove, and I think Metu is definitely one of them.
100%. And the only thing I am scared about with this roster, you're forced to play 2 top every game. Like Jaguar can only, he can play tanks, but he will only play like the Aatrox, the Darius, the Gwen, things that carry him. And with 2-Trick only playing like 2 or 3 champions, you will be forced on the weak side bottom lane. So it's pretty one-dimensional. That's my concern with Northern Lions as well.
Northern Lions, one-dimensional. Well, we're gonna have to see. They come in action tonight if this podcast actually gets uploaded on the day that it's supposed to be. So I think we got everyone then, because Benelux United, we basically already talked about them. We only got Zen IT left, actually. I apologize. Zen IT, I think, is the last org that is going to join the Elite Series. And let's take a quick look at their lineup. I need to still get it, because for some reason it's
I can name it up for you if you need.
Yeah, go ahead.
We have Tamos in the top lane, Getsu jungle, Xel top mid, and Ali Plane and Mahonix bot. And we both know Ali Plane and Mahonix very well. I think you even played against them.
Yeah, I did, and that's probably the reason why I don't like seeing them in the Elite Series, because not gonna lie, if you're playing against me, then you're not playing in the right competition, brother. Ali Plane and Mahonix, both well known in the DCL scene. For once again, the people that are following DCL, you'll know these names. Do they belong in the Elite Series? Rank-wise, maybe. Competitive-wise, I would say Mahonix a little bit more than Ali Plane, because I frankly have not seen enough of Ali Plane to make a proper decision. I know that Mahonix has been around longer in the scene. I know from experience that Mahonix can be a very vocal player in a team, so I feel like he can definitely add a lot to a team. Ali Plane, I'm not sure. Big question mark for me.
Ali Plane, I'm not entirely sure here. I hope he performs, but if I compare it to the other bot lanes, it's gonna be I think bottom of the table, but they still have a chance because I don't think the other bot lanes are that great either. They will square up okay against Mechanics and Two Trick. They will square up okay against PTS and G-Chokes, I think. But we'll see if that comes to fruition. Another name that I really like actually is Getsu. I casted him for the Pro M, not the Pro M tournament, the Promo Relegation tournament. Yeah. That man was a menace in the jungle. That was actually very fun to see. He was trying to do invades all over, being super aggressive. A very fun player to watch, and maybe even an X factor of ZNIT. And on the other hand, the solo lanes, not entirely sure about those.
Tamos and Zeltop, I think that's how you pronounce his name. I'm like looking at their history because frankly, guys, I'm not gonna lie, I also never heard of these guys before. I can see that the mid laner Zeltop has played for Bifrost Academy, so I guess that's, you know, a decent organization to be with. At least it used to be, not after the Bifrost drama that all came out. Anyways, he did manage to win some things. NLC played in 3rd division, got 2nd there, so definitely not bad, but it's not really the, you know, big names that you want to see play in the Elite Series. But of course, it's to be expected. It's NIT. It's always been an organization that, you know, doesn't have the most cash, that can't like splash on big rosters. So I'm hoping to see NIT create then a really good and strong team dynamic compared to, you know, oh, we're going to take big players and we're just going to, you know, win because we're better. But we're going to have to wait and see.
The ETT way.
The ETT way, exactly, yeah. NIT is a big question mark for me, not going to lie. I feel like we will see what they're worth after like 2 weeks of the Elite Series. I think they'll get exposed pretty quickly, whether that's in the good way or in the bad way.
I really agree with you. Well, then let us just hop on to the 4 teams that have already been in the Elite Series, but they've returned actually. We keep 4 organizations and we have 4 new ones. And let's just start off with MCon, I think, because that might be the most interesting of the 4, because they are doing a different thing. Because normally they are like, here, take my money, and we get very strong, well-known players. Now we have a roster with all of them new players, and only Sliver being a veteran. Sliver, of course, I'm happy that he's playing Elite Series again. We have East Goblin support. You are actually very good friends with him, if I'm not mistaken.
That's true, yeah.
That's fun. Will he do better than going 0-10? We will see.
The bar is low. Let's just keep it at that.
The bar is not that high, Jeroen. I believe in you. Yebe Dutchons, our trusty Corki one trick in the mid lane. And then we have Mayuk and PP Baat top jungle. And I have so many question marks.
Why? What are you thinking? What are you thinking when you see this roster?
I am thinking, how is this allowed? And it's very a rough statement, but it's the truth. I don't think Mayuk is good enough yet to play Elite Series. Just putting it out there. I feel like, okay, whenever we had to play against Mayuk in the college league, we would always say, okay, watch out, the first 10 minutes, this man is a psychopath, you will fight. It doesn't matter what he plays. If he plays Ornn, he will dive you.
Do you know who he reminds me of? He really reminds me of Difference. Like, oh my god, this guy is turbo cracked on Fiora. Oh wait, we banned Fiora. Wait, he has no hands anymore. I don't think that's the case with Mayuk. I think he's a decent player. But basically, for people that, of course, don't know all the IGNs, I don't forgive you. There are some names in here that you probably haven't heard of before. It's a full Dutch roster, which I kind of like. Not gonna lie, a full Dutch roster, and I think I saw a tweet from Craze today as well. It's like we have 28 Benelux players, and it's more than double compared to last split in our league. So bringing a little bit of the Dutch talent back, which I kind of like. Not gonna lie.
100%, and I think PP Baat is the focal point of all that. If he actually plays good and learns how to play competitive, this man can carry MCon. Because this is PP Baat's first ever team, but this man is a 1050 LP challenger player, and he's only been playing jungle for 4 months. Yeah, that goes to show how good he is, but he's never played competitive before, so he doesn't know how shot calling works.
Yeah, he spent 9 months at Tribute, which is like an open tour team, so he probably knows the way of how a team works, but he doesn't really know how a team works, because of course an Elite Series team is not really comparable with Open Tour. Anyways, looking towards the mid lane then, JB Dutchons, well known for a very very interesting tweet.
I know where you're going.
I'm not gonna discuss it in detail. I think if people want to know, I think it's still up there even. If you want to see it, just go towards his Twitter and you'll probably see what I mean. Anyways, JB Dutchons did not impress me in the Elite Series. Not gonna lie, I was not impressed by this man. I hope that he can retribute himself for me personally. I'm excited to see what he can do in this roster, especially with PP Baat from what I've heard, being a very carry playstyle jungler, and JB Dutchman's maybe a bit more of a supportive mid laner, going towards that Karma again, you also saw before, could be an interesting mix. But once again, and this is one of those players again that I mentioned before, he needs to prove himself to me, because I'm not convinced just yet.
Yeah, me neither. I think in the Iron Squad roster, he was played on a little bit of a low level, on a low fire. Of course, you had Velja and Nazgul. Velja played the carry champions every time, and with jungle mid, you most of the time have a carry and a facilitator. Mm-hmm. So he was put a lot of the times on things like a Corki, right? So in that sense, I forgive him a bit, but still, that wasn't the most impressive. Corki was busted as hell, so he didn't get a lot of chance to show us things, but he didn't show us things in general either. So it's a bit of a give and take. We will see what he will do in the split itself. And I think the same goes for East Goblin, right? He needs to prove himself again, because we memed about that going 0-10. But if you cannot find wins here either, doesn't matter how good your roster is, it is a bit of a difficult thing to climb.
It's looking pretty doomed, my guy. You're absolutely
doomed.
Right. I mean, I think you mentioned it before, right? Like, I'm really good friends with this guy, and I see personally that he really wants to improve. And of course, right now, he's a way different player than he was in 2021 summer. But still, it's the time to perform. If you do not perform now, not gonna lie, your Leaguepedia looks as bad as mine. So that's a real big issue. And also, I think that the dynamic with Sliver is gonna be interesting, because we all know Sliver for his AP picks, his weird picks in the bot lane, and maybe being a bit insufficient on the more traditional AD carry. So I'm excited to see if they still want to go towards that same playstyle. The first thing I'm instantly thinking of, and I think a lot of people are when they hear Sliver, is that Heimerdinger that we keep seeing also in just competitive League of Legends a lot now, not only on AD carry, but then also on support. Could be a very interesting pick. Feel like it would probably be permabanned, would not be surprised, but I'm interested to see what MCON can do.
They definitely have a lot of purpose and possibilities, but if that will come to fruition, not entirely sure. We're going to have to wait for tonight, actually, to see if they can actually make it happen on the Rift. Yeah. So, should we just dive into our clear top 3 that's never going to end below 3rd place anyway?
Hopefully. Otherwise, something is really, really going wrong. Yeah, I mean, take it away, Which team do you want to talk about first?
Do you want to talk about the side grade one, about the upgraded one, or about the question mark one?
Let's talk about the question mark one. I like that one.
Okay, the question mark one is the agency for me. Yeah. Because I like what they've done with their roster. They have like a completely new roster, by the way. Mm-hmm. Not a single player returns. A lot of good ones, but also a lot of how is this going to work out exactly. They have Wazor in the top lane, played NLC. Really skilled, mechanical, very high-level player. Very nice. Then we have Desidera in the jungle, which is a bit weird. We don't really know an awful lot about him, but I've talked with him. He has a lot of cool vibes. Crown, in my opinion, the best player in Div 2 last split that they picked up, which is nice. And then they have Lelouch and Nightmare's bot, and this is literally Zoomer and Boomer. Like, Nightmares has a lot of experience. It's like 25 or something, not that old, but it's fine. Lelouch just turned...
That's Boomer in esports, brother. That's
it is Boomer in esports, true. Yeah. It's not Jankel's level, but it is getting a bit high up there.
Exactly, yeah.
And now we have Lelouch. He's 18. And he is like an AD carry mechanical prodigy. So Lelouch, there's a lot of room.
Looking at the name, he's probably French.
He's Romanian.
He's Romanian. Okay, Lelouch played for Zero Tenacity, so got some teams under his bag already at like 18 years old. That's pretty interesting. But we have to think about like where does the agency come from, right? Because we get last year Spring Split Echo Zulu was fine, 3rd place I believe if I recall correctly. Then they have the entire rebrand. We turn into the agency. Hey, look, we win the first split that we ever like go to, and of course we shit the bed at the EU Masters because Benelux shits the bed at the EU Masters, and then their entire roster is gone. And we come up with this. And I feel like it might backfire quite a bit if the agency starts performing really bad right now, because you're coming fresh off of a rebrand. And I feel like if your team is, of course, going to, not perform after a rebrand, you're not really going to gain any fans. So for them, I really hope that they do perform. I definitely have belief in them, because look at the coaching staff. I still feel like it's one of the best coaching staffs that we have in our region. Dipsy and then the Law, who unfortunately announced his retirement kind of this week, which is quite sad. But Dipsy is still amazing coach, amazing guy as well. Definitely have faith in him to do something, but this roster, and I really like how you put it, it is a question mark.
It is a very big question mark, and I'm gonna make the question mark even bigger. Because what is the most important thing in Benelux if you're playing in the Elite Series? Right, it's not gameplay, it's mental. It is always
mentality.
If you go mental, boom, you lose every game. They play the first 2 games against Genk and 7 AM. The schedule is not nice on them.
No, the schedule is not nice at all, especially if we look at their rosters. We'll get there, but sheesh, it's looking scary. Not gonna lie.
Imagine if you go 0-2 the first week. That's a bit of a yikers for me.
But that's the thing, right? That's the thing, right? It's fine to go 0-2 against these teams. It's about bouncing back in that second week, and we've seen before that is really difficult to do.
But is it fine though? Because okay, the mindset of these players is, and this sounds a little bit of a high ego problem, but it is true. Like the mindset is, okay, we win against all the 5 other teams on autopilot.
Yeah,
we have to win against Genk or 7 AM once or twice or maybe 4 times to end up first. If we go 0-2 against them, man, okay, wait till next half of the split. That's not what you should do, because that's when things go wrong.
You're right. I'm curious to see how they prepared for both Genk and 7 AM, because damn, they are looking stacked. I think with that we should also probably look towards one of them, and I kind of want to start at KRC Genk, who probably kept the biggest core of their lineup, and probably also just the best players of their lineup. Not gonna lie, the lineup consists of Roba Gertas, and then we have Mikkel Orion, who was previously Tiger, and Diamelot. So Mikkel and Diamelot joining Gertas, Roba, and Orion now then in this roster, looking pretty stacked. Not gonna lie, I was really excited to see Mikkel once again just keep playing, because I mean Mikkel's really enjoyable to watch. I think he was also just probably the best performing player on that Sector 1 roster. And then we have Diamelot, who, when the split started last year, I was not convinced about at all. I know that Diamelot had like his coin flip days, his Sector 1 days were really good, and then his other days were quite meh. But Diamelot on that MCON roster was making moves. Not gonna lie, Diamelot on that MCON roster was probably the best performing player in my opinion. So I'm excited to see him next to Orion now in this bot lane.
100%. Like even with names like Chaz and Densi, Diamelot just played good games like every game they played. It wasn't always like a 10, but always a 7, and that's honestly what a support should do. Always be a constant factor. That's very nice. But when I look at this roster, I'm like, okay, this would have almost been the perfect upgrade, but I still think Moops is just the best support we've ever had in the Elite Series. And that sucks for Diamelot, because he's still very good, and I think he's a good replacement. But if that was Moops there, this roster would have been by far the best. Because the problem with Genk last split was, okay, you have Roba, who is a weak side enjoyer. You have bot lane Tiger, who is now named Orion, who is a bit of a, we skill until late game, and then we will carry. Mid-late game fights, perfect. Early game, they sometimes do things. And they have Royal Canin, who did the same thing. They didn't have a lane to play towards. They couldn't really do anything, which sometimes fucked up their early game. You saw that at the European Masters. Although I have to say, they played well at European Masters, so that's fine. Now they have Mikkel, and Mikkel is going balls to the walls. He will show you that he's a mechanical good player, and he has a lot of experience as well. So that's, in my eyes, the perfect upgrade.
I mean, I do agree. Also, for the people who don't know, really fun fact, Orion renamed to Orion from Tiger because he had a baby boy and his son is named Orion, which I fucking love that. That's great. That's great. That's such a good idea.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, we've got Orion in the bot lane now representing his child's name. That is awesome to see. But this roster, I think also when we look at Genk, of course, we can look at the players, but I think one of the more important things that should be established when we talk about Genk is they have the money. They have the most money probably in our league right now. And you also see it on their socials, right? They're boot camping, putting in a lot of effort, and that's probably why KRC Genk in the past year, in the first year of Elite Series, was that dominant, because they have a lot of good, money to throw around, and it just seems to work. Also, the coaching stuff, I think Iron Man should probably be returning. I am not sure yet, but I think he probably is. Iron Man did a great job for KRC Genk in 2022, and I think he can definitely, keep that stride going.
I mean, we actually have some inside information, right? Because you and I went to one of the boot camps of Genk last year.
True, yeah.
In spring. And we actually not really spoke with, but we saw like the board there, the CEOs of the actual football club. They were celebrating with their esports team that they've won the league, that they were going to European Masters, playing against teams like Barcelona, right? Like, the thing is, it doesn't feel like an esports team, it feels like an entire organization, which is really nice, and it shows the backup they are getting.
I don't necessarily want to call it that because it's a bit, what's the word for that? It's a bit cliche, but it kind of feels like a family. That's how it felt when we were there, Oh, you don't like that? You don't like that word?
The family.
No, you don't like that word. You don't like the word. No, but like when we were there, I mean, it was so cool to see these people who are working at this, football club at KRC Genk, not the esports side, who are putting in effort every day to like keep the football club going, take time off their day off to literally start congratulating their esports division because they've won something that they probably don't even know what the fuck it is. That is just really cool to see, and I don't see that anywhere else, not even with some of the bigger teams outside of the Benelux.
You don't see this anywhere else, huh?
Yeah, you don't see this anywhere else. You
did you
not like the word family? What was wrong with family?
I don't know, man. I feel like family is a scary term to throw around because a lot of people like to say, "Oh, we're just like family," but whenever people say we are like family, they're actually not like family. Like, don't you ever see it happening?
I mean,
every time there's drama. Every time there's drama, like, oh, we're the biggest family, nothing is ever going wrong. That's a cover-up, man. That's a cover-up.
Oh, well, I can see what you mean. Let's talk real quickly about the last roster we have, because
I see you as family, by the way.
It's been a good 50 minutes already just talking about rosters, and there's some drama that I want to talk about as well. So let's talk about the last roster, which is for sure an upgrade towards their team. It is Team 7am. Already spoiled it a bit earlier. 7am performing last summer split was like wowing everyone. Everyone's like, the fuck is going on? 7am is performing. This is not how it's supposed to be. Well, motherfucker, you better get used to it, because 7am has stacked players. They consist of Zergov, Noodle, Sahira, Ore, and QuickTimer. QuickTimer makes his return to the Benelux. Really cool to see after coming off Big Lan, I think it was. Zergov in 7am. Who would have thought? Zergov in pink looks great. Is awesome. I'm excited for this team. I'm so excited for this team. It's gonna be great.
It's like the Benelux combined with NLC, but just the Swedish part. And I was like, okay, this is the perfect cake. We're gonna make it happen. It's Dutch, it's Swedish. We like it. It's going to be a dessert. It's going to be fun.
They've got 3 Swedish players, Noodle, Sahira, and Ore. Of course, Ore's got Benelux residency because this man's basically been here all of his life.
He basically lives here, yeah.
Yeah, also coming off of that Sector 1 roster with Mikkel, where he, I think, performed really well. I think one game that's still, like, fragmented in my brain was that one Lucian game where he just runs around, and especially in this Lucian Nami meta, I wonder, is this man ever going to get his champion? I don't think so. But then you look at the top side, you're looking towards Zergov, Noodle, Sahira. For the people who don't know, Noodle has been here before. I believe he played for MCon, but I'm not entirely sure. He played for MCon, I think. Sahira is a bit of an unknown name to me, but can be a wild card in this team. And Zergov in the top side, I mean, that doesn't need an introduction.
And by far, okay, not by far, the best top laner in the Benelux. Not by far, because the Robba is a very close second. But Zergov just has that special touch,
I think, like, with Zergov and Robba, it's like comparing Messi and Ronaldo, right? Like, they do different but they do different things. Like, they're good in different aspects of the game. So I think it's a bit weird to compare them, I guess, because if you're gonna say like, okay, let's compare them with what they've won, then Robba easily wins. But if you compare them like in game, then of course Zergov has an edge in certain aspects, Robba has an edge in certain aspects. But I do think Zergov could be probably a bit better than Robba. Especially also in this team, because I think Ore and QuickTimer, they've already played before as well. They've got that synergy going on. If we can focus a lot around this top side, it could be really, really fucking scary.
I am not sure how that's going to go, but I feel like it's going to go well. But this, once again, is going to be a case of don't mental boom in the first week. If they don't mental boom in the first week, I have faith in this roster is going to be great. If they mental boom in the first week, this might be just garbage. But I think it's going to do great. That
concludes all of the Elite Series rosters. It took us a good 55 minutes to like talk of all of them, but I think they also deserved it. Elite Series is going to start. I'm excited, even though I'm not allowed to cast it anymore. It's still going to be really fun to just watch these teams play again, watch these returning players. But it's time for the second part of our podcast, and it's going to be one of our segments. We're going to have a few returning segments, and this is one of our segments. Also, thank you, ThomSonic. You made a really cringe, amazing, like, intro segment thingy. So, please, everyone, get ready for
Rose and ThomSonic, weekly segment Overreactions.
Overreactions, you heard it correctly. It's time for some overreactions. Hey, this is so cool. I love this. It's so scuffed but so cool at the same time. Rose and
Thank
Sonic weekly segments. Overreactions, you heard it right. ThomSonic, explain. What are we gonna do here?
Okay, we're going to take or like tell each other some overreactions. We both have like 3 or 4 of them, doesn't really matter. And we're gonna say if we agree with it, if we don't agree with it, and what we actually think about the whole thing. And yes, like you said, it's gonna be a weekly segment that took me 10 minutes in my editing tool. Great part of my day.
I respect it. Well, I mean, kick off the ball. What is your first overreaction? What do you want to talk about?
Okay, my overreaction. We're going to talk about LEC a bit later, but I want to still ask you a question about the LEC. Okay?
Yeah, sure.
The Fnatic roster is doomed to fail.
Yeah. I mean, I expected something like this. I think I do agree. And I think if we. I think if we look at this Fnatic roster, it's been something that I've been saying since the beginning. Thematically, the roster just doesn't work. Reckless doesn't want to take a strong side role. Wunder cannot take a strong side role. Humanoid might be cracked. Resort might be really good, but can they fill up these gaps? And that's, I think, the biggest problem that we've also seen in Fnatic in week 1 of LEC is that if one of the two sides is lacking too hard, looking at you, bot lane, it's gonna be really, really difficult to like make up for it if you have a Gragas in the top side who's just chilling.
I mean, it hurts the same, man, because my Fnatic heart bleeds. But I kind of agree with you. I feel like it is an overreaction, but on the other hand, it is salvageable. You know, it's my heart wants it to be salvageable.
Surely it is.
Humanoid the copium amounts are just high.
Yeah. I'm starting to run out here after this weekend. Not gonna lie.
Like honestly, we just need humanoid on Jace on like the crazy
his
champions.
chase
like
was really
Stylus.
good. His chase was
Correct.
really good.
Correct.
Yeah. Was really fun to see.
But I understand you and I agree.
Overreaction, definitely. Though I do still agree. I'm also an overreactor, I guess. Let's go towards mine.
Sure.
Mine is definitely an overreaction. I think Bo is gonna get removed from Vitality before the spring split ends, or the winter split. I guess it's called now.
What?
But that man is so that man just got bought by an LPL team. This guy is so unbelievably good.
Okay, wait. There are 2 things we need to discuss here. One, is he going to be removed because he's just going to be benched, or is he going to be removed because he's betting again?
He's going to get like bobbed by another team. He's going to get like bobbed by another team. This man is so good. This man is like the second coming of Faker, but in the jungle. Like, Jesus Christ. What Bo has shown us in the LEC is that the brother doesn't care about what you think how to play jungle correctly. Like, the brother doesn't care. He plays his game and he will win as well. He's got superstars around him in forms of perks. He's got a really solid bot lane, and I was really impressed by Neon as well on this Vitality roster. Bo is gone before the splits end. No way that Vitality makes the end of the split with that man.
Okay, it is an overreaction because you cannot buy him during the splits, but after the split ends...
I mean, you can do everything. I think it's happened before as well. Like, you can do everything.
Really?
I think
in that case,
I mean, if you have enough money.
I don't think he will get bought out, but he is indeed cracked as fuck, and I see him basically as an updated Morang. Because he does the same weird shit as Morang, but he doesn't suffer from it. Like, whenever Morang does dumb shit, like someone is taking his entire jungle. But when Bo does dumb shit, it doesn't happen. And I don't know if that's just because people are not punishing him yet, or that he's just so giga-brain that they just can't punish him.
And we need to keep in mind, this was week 1. Who knows, maybe week 2 Bo is really shitting the bed. I don't think so, but it can always happen. So take all of these opinions with a grain of salt, though I do still
they're
think
all true.
Bo is, I mean, he's also in the field in LPL, right? And I think that says a lot if you can go 10-0 in LPL. ThomSonic, overreaction number 2. I'm ready.
It's a very sad one, because I also had something like this in mind, but it's a bit different, okay? It is about Bo.
Okay.
Bo is the best jungler we ever had in Europe.
I think it's for sure way too early to say this because it's been 3 games. So I think the term overreaction definitely comes to mind here. I think it's way too early to say this. It might be, but he will need like 2 entire splits to properly say that IMO. Because
he's never lost a game.
But look at who you're stacking up against. It's cool that you're like never losing a game if you play 3 games, if you play 1 week, but I mean, I think the best one is obviously Jankos, who's been around for so long, who's been on a world final. Don't forget that, a world final, who's won 4 splits in a row. That is like so stacked, and I think it's disrespectful towards Youngers to be like, hey, Bo is the best younger we've ever had in the LEC because this man plays 3 good games in week 1.
I mean, I guess you would say it's disrespect, but I'm looking at the Bo gameplay now, and I'm thinking about Prime Jankos, and I see similarities, which I really like. Like, you remember Prime Jankos? They called him the First Blood King. He was remember that didn't happen anymore because now he's like stuck on tank duty. But when that happened, I feel like it's the same thing with Bo, right? He picks Graves. He's like, okay, you know what, level 2 gank, and he's inspiring people in solo queue like me. It's going perfect. I believe him. I mean,
I like it. He's inspired you to finally gank me level 2 in the bot lane. Like, it's very, very good for me as a player that you're watching Bo play LEC. Anyways, really good overreaction. I really like it. I'll throw in my second and will stay in the LEC for a bit longer. Because my overreaction is that Reckless will retire after the spring split because it will be a very bad split for him.
No. Reckless will go on. The King of the North has returned to Europe, and he will play this entire year. Even if he goes 0-10 every game, it doesn't matter, and Fnatic will not drop him either.
Do you think Fnatic will not? Do you think not?
No, they cannot. If they drop him, they lose so much face. Like, it's not even about him being good or bad, but if they drop him again, they're gonna lose so much credit with their fan base. They need to make this work. If it doesn't work, then they're fucked.
Yeah.
Because we all know Fnatic fan base is a little bit vocal.
It's they're a little bit and I'm sorry for this, a little bit fanatic, you know.
Yeah, true.
It's in the name.
EA Sports.
It's in the name. Exactly.
In the name. Yeah. Actually, my heart, man. I want them to succeed so bad.
Me too. I mean, been a big fan of Reckless ever since, like, basically when he started, and ever since that legendary roster with Febivin. So yeah, I really hope he does well, but I fear when I see this week 1, especially the game against Vitality that was basically in the bag. Like, you can basically say, okay, if they play it normally, they can play out that game, they can play properly, but Vitality that manages to bring it back. And not gonna lie, I think Reckless performed really bad day 1, day 2. The Varus game was not it for me. He was playing the classic Reckless, oh, I'm being AFK again, and that's not what I wanted to see from him.
Yeah, I agree. The Saber game was an awful lot better though, but it is Reckless Saber, so it's also like, hey, we're going on the trend again. As long as he doesn't look Jen, I'm happy. Should I go ahead with my last overreaction for you?
Yeah, your last overreaction. Throw it.
Okay. We will have more LEC delays than KitKat breaks.
I mean, the bar is already set pretty high for that with this first week. Jesus, what was going on? I saw something on Twitter talking about that there was like certain firmware that pros used that like tampered with the PCs or something like that. But holy shit, an LEC broadcast was from like 6 until 12:15. Like, it was more than 6 hours because it just takes 40 minutes to go into a second game. It's so fucking like difficult to watch sometimes.
It is very annoying. I do feel like they're doing a good job to fill in those things in between. They're really trying, and they make it entertaining as well. It also helps the Duck Dash there, because that man, he can sing me to sleep every night if he wants to. Yeah. Like, I love him. But the delays are a little bit annoying. But the KitKat breaks, though, they take a long time as well.
I mean, the KitKat breaks. I think the longest one I've had was together with Dino. I think it was a good like 25 minutes because GG's internet dropped out, and then
I remember this.
I think then Gank was like, yeah, we could just keep playing, and then we had to remake the game, so we had to go back into draft after playing for like 5 minutes. It was a shit show, and I'm gonna lie, seeing that red KitKat screen still like wakes me up at night sometimes, because I'm like, oh fuck, there we go again. It's like the 7th time this evening. I think you also had a very annoying evening where it was like every other game or during every game like multiple times.
I've had 2 very interesting days. One that we had every game, we had a pause of like 5 minutes, and there was one with Dino, like the end of the split, where Dino was like suffering from a migraine during the stream, where we had a 40 minutes KitKat break pause. And we couldn't go to a break. We had to stay on air. So we had to talk bullshit for 40 minutes. And you know what happens when you talk bullshit with Dino? You're going through every skin in the existence of League of Legends.
Yeah. Suddenly you're talking about like pre-rework Talia, why her like assets look better than post-rework. And it's like, what are we talking about, bro? Anyways, exactly. I think from experience, I do want to say that as well. You mentioned it as well. Really respect towards the LEC crew for, keeping it going during all of these breaks. I know it's annoying and they can't do anything about it. They just need to suck it up and start, filling in those segments. So really respect towards them, because I feel like they really try their best to keep it entertaining. And for me personally, it's never been that bad that I really need to mute the stream or need to turn it off. It's always been fine. It's just annoying situations, and let's hope it is fixed for week 2.
100%. Well, hit me with your last one, man.
The last one is back to the Benelux.
Okay.
7 a.m. will be this year's Lowland Lions, meaning the roster is gonna shit the bed.
Ooh. That's actually a very interesting one. I mean,
Yeah.
I said a little bit about it here as well. I feel like if there is a roster that could go mental boom, it's 7 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
Because they have very good players, but also a lot of players who know that they're good. For example,
Yes.
Zergot and Ore. They are one of the best players in the league, but if things don't go well and they don't find a good team synergy, I see them just being like, you know what, I don't care about this. I don't think we will see like urban things that they will just lock Janna jungle and just win it down.
The Pro-Am fiasco.
Oh man, people didn't even see that game, a lot of them. Like Pro-Am was like done with 8 different teams at the same time, so a lot of people didn't even see it. But for some reason, Urban was like, you know what? We lost against them, but I played bullshit. I'm gonna lock Janna jungle and run it down myself.
Oh boy! And Urban was so funny during the splitting. Man, like showed
The
up in
hot dog suit.
the hot dog costumes. Like, what have you done, brother? Anyways, yeah. I hope, of course, not for 7 a.m. that they'll be the new Lowland Lions and basically fall with what can be quoted as a super team, I guess. But Zergot has been there before, so he maybe knows what to do to not fall into like the same downward spiral, I guess.
Just gank top.
Yeah, exactly. So those are 6 overreactions. I'm gonna play the segment again because I really like it. So thank you all once again for listening to
Rose and ThomSonic weekly segment Overreactions.
Can't keep listening to that. Thank you so much, ThomSonic. That's great. That is great. We're already nearing an hour and 5 minutes, so I think we should talk a little bit more about the NLC drama that's been going on, and then we should probably start wrapping it up because I don't want this taking 2 hours. I know that people really love listening to us, but not that much. So let's not take it too long. So, Thomas, for the people at home who are not really following ERLs at all, can you maybe walk us through what's been going on around the NLC?
Okay, the NLC is basically the ERL scene of the Nordic Scandinavian leagues. And this offseason has been drama. It is known as NLC. It is now known as NLC later because nobody wants to go there anymore. The casters have been dealt a rough hand. The teams have been dealt a rough hand. Non-accredited ERL is now the name of the NLC as well, which means you have less teams going to EUM, which means you can't play Champions Queue, which means you have less money. Prize pools going down with 75% even. So the entirety of the NLC is basically a shit show. That was my TLDR.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're completely right. I'm quickly looking up their Leaguepedia page to see what the orgs are looking like right now, because a lot of orgs have dropped, all with incoming drama. I think if we talk about all of them, we're gonna get to the 2 hour mark. I don't want to do that right now, but it's just really sad to see because NLC, especially since last year, has really felt like the little bit mini LEC for me. It was a very fun broadcast with a very fun and talented group of people working on that broadcast, and also the teams were just great, and they did great at EU Masters as well. They finally were able to like stand up against the LFL LVP supremacy that we have, with a little bit of Prime League in there as well, of course. But the NLC really started to like get off the ground, and then to see them drop like this, that's really, really difficult.
It sucks to see because, like you said, they were doing good, they were going up, but the one thing that wasn't doing well was their viewership, because that always stayed a bit still, and when it went up, it is discussed here and there if not all those viewers were actually viewers, but we don't know anything about that.
No hard statements.
No hard statements. That it's hearsay. It is hearsay. But it sucks a little bit, right? Because it was not profitable, and Riot was like, okay, we're gonna pull the plug and we're gonna make you non-accredited. And I feel like a lot of people didn't see that coming, and it's just really tough for the organization as well. A lot of them dropped out. I feel like we have only 1 or 2 teams remaining from last split. All of them are different organizations. But on the positive side, we have 2 good ERLs in the European system, right? Those are the LVP and LFL. Those are really stacked, really good. The other ERLs are lagging a little bit behind, but you have more players than you have teams. So even if you don't have all of the money, a lot of rosters are still looking quite okay, quite decent, just because there is too many people that want to play.
Yeah. So Leaguepedia has really summarized it easily here, so I can just read it out like this.
Okay.
So about the teams that joined, about the teams that left. We've got Domino Esports coming in. They acquired the spot of Niriki. Same for Nord Esports, who acquired the spot of Astralis Talent. Then we've got Ruddy Esports from Don Jake. They acquired the spot of M&M Gaming, up the Ruddy. Dusty, they sold their spot in the Unique Esports Club, acquired their spot. Then we have JDXL, who unfortunately sold their spot as well. Verdant acquired that one. And X7 Esports, they disbanded prior to the tournament. And then we still also have natives joining, and I quickly want to talk a little bit more about that roster specifically, because we've got a familiar name in it too, actually, for me personally. The roster consists of Spooder, Flawed, Unexpected, Remix, and Baloo. Now, two names that you definitely recognize, ThomSonic, are Flawed and Remix. Starting off with Flawed, happy to see him play in an ERL, because following him on Twitter, he also has really funny takes, but besides that, I think he's also pretty good at the game. His time at Verdant was really, really, really solid, so that's one I'm definitely looking out for.
This is like the crossover that we didn't know we needed, you know? you remember when you like watched those Nickelodeon and Disney XD shows like Timmy Turner and Jimmy Neutron, and like for one episode they were in each other's universe? That's what I feel like is going on right now with Flawed and with Remix. Remix, his way out of 7am was a bit saddening, but he's still a very good player. He has been ramping up in Sudoku. I think he is now already Grandmaster again. He got Challenger last season.
Did he get rank 10? I think he got like top 10, I believe.
Yeah.
I might be wrong.
He's like insanely cracked right now. So for him to just find another team and be able to play NLC Div 1 together with Flood is really nice for him personally. And I've also talked to him quite a bit. I'm just happy for the guy.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think he deserves a team to play in as well. Really funny guy also just to talk with. Really, really outgoing. So honestly, excited for natives. Excited for the NLC to see what they'll bring. But it will definitely be in a lesser amount. And not only teams-wise, it's also going to be talent-wise. Because if you've been following Twitter, if anyone at home has been following Twitter, we know the drama, what's been going on. And that is basically that all of the previous NLC talent is not returning for this split. ThomSonic, what are your thoughts about that one?
I will quote the tweet of Nymera. It is absolutely criminal that they are not on there. Like, Archeron, in my opinion, the best host right now in all of the ERL systems. Of course, you can't like beat Shocks yet. You have to like do a little bit of ADC shows for that.
Quick
really
one.
sucks to not see him back.
Gentleman Bow is coming closer.
Gentleman Bow is pretty close. It's Gentleman Bow and then it's Archeron.
Yeah, fair enough. Shout out to you, Bo.
True. It is
Thank
true.
you.
Yeah, love Bo. Oh, please watch the podcast or listen to it. Doesn't matter. Do it while you're gymming. I'm going back to the topic. Yeah, Initialize. One of the best upcoming play-to-play casters. Even that LEC was good in EUM. It's not casting this split again. I do have to say, there are two casters that I'm really looking forward to. Middelcut has deserved a spot for a long time.
For sure.
I'm happy that he is on the NLC. Same goes for, I hope that I don't butcher his name, Aragon. Yes, thank you. That combination is golden, and I'm really happy to see them on the lineup. But the whole thing that's going on behind the scenes, which we don't know, which nobody really knows, there is more going on there than
of course.
It shows.
It can't be that talented group of people just all like drops out. Something's happened there. Something's going on there, and I really wish to know what, because I think Nymera, like you said, puts it perfectly. It's criminal. They were so fun to watch, and you could really see the dynamic that they had between them as well. And I'm so sad that we're not going to see them return, because yes, we've got Nymera at the LPL right now, which is great. Yes, we have Goldborg, of course, on the LEC right now. It fits in perfectly. It's awesome. But we're going to have to say goodbye to Trouble. We're going to have to say goodbye to Initialize. And probably the most hurtful one for me is we're going to have to say goodbye to Archeron. He tweeted that he's probably going to be leaving the League of Legends scene, which is such a big loss to me. This guy is not only super fun to watch, he's inspirational, he's motivational. The things that he's been doing on the like CSGO side of things, where he literally just takes his guitar and he's just fucking rocking it on that stage, that is awesome. Insane. And that is what it's all about to me. And that is such a big loss for the League of Legends community. It is so sad that he could not, get what he want, I guess, in that way. And I'm really hoping things might still work out for him, whereas he will not have to leave the league scene. But I can guess that if something shitty like this happens to you, and of course Archeron has sacrificed a lot, has moved to Berlin and stuff from Portugal, if something like that happens to you, I get why you want to leave, and I hope that you can embrace the Valorant/CS:GO community. I hope you can find your success there, because if there's one man that deserves it, I think it's Archeron.
But there's also one man that will keep on climbing the mountain, and that's Archeron as well, right? Whenever things go bad on his path, he's just saying, okay, you know what? I'm going to get up at like 6 in the morning, and I'm going to climb the mountain. I'm going to do a run for like an hour. Hey. Everybody who does that is insane in their head, but he's doing it, and it's going good for him, and I'm happy for him. So I hope he just continues the path.
You know what they say, right? The wind blows the hardest when you get to the top. So let's hope good things happen to Archeron and the rest of the ex-NLC cast. And let's hope good things happen to NLC in general, because I feel like some good things is definitely what they need at this point in time. Thomas, seeing that it's 1 hour and nearly 15 minutes already, it's been quite a really fun first episode, but I do feel like we should start wrapping it up. Is there anything else that you want to talk about before we leave?
Genk is going to win the split.
Genk is going to win the split. Okay, putting it down there. I think you can see ThomSonic doing some Genk related. ThomSonic, Jesus Christ. I think you can see him. I think you can see him with some Genk related things during the split, no?
That is true. I'm going to be co-streaming all of the games of Genk Esports on their Twitch in English. So it's for a broad audience as well, getting a little bit of a community vibe. It's not going to be like full-on gossip. Oh my god, what's going on here? It's going to be more, a fan experience, and we talk about the game as well.
Yeah, I'm excited to see how that turns out. I'm happy for you at least that you... got that going for yourself. Sounds really fun. For now, I think this is it for the first episode of The Caster Curse. If you've made it to the end, not only are you a psycho, I'm also really grateful. Thank you for tuning in for sure. Make sure, if you want to connect with us a little bit more, if you got any questions, got any suggestions for the podcast, go to our Twitter handles at ThomSonic and RoseBND, at RoseBND. You can also find the podcast at The Caster Curse. Can't be easier, man. It's all the same name. It is so nice. It's so nice. You can find us over on Spotify, YouTube, The Caster Curse, you know what it's called. And I thank you all for tuning in, and hope to see you next Sunday when I try to release episode 2. Bye.